With this build to be the last Emilia Romagna Grand Prix, at least for the foreseeable future, let's have a bit of a talk about F1's latest race at Imola, the highlights, the storylines, and what it means next as we head to the crown jewel of Monte Carlo. Starting off, it was such an impressive display by Max Verstappen today. I'm tripping over myself trying to find the words to be able to describe it, because I ran out of the superlatives last season when he was dominating. But it's one of his better wins, and this is one of the things for this season. Verstappen's wins are some of his best wins of his career so far, because he doesn't have the outright best car. I did say in my pre-event predictions that this could be a good weekend for the Red Bull. The track was going to be cooler. In some ways, the tarmac and the partial resurfacing would make it similar in quality to Suzuka. But at the same time, even though we went with the softer tyres, and that would have potentially meant more tyre degradation, he was able to look after his tyres better, benefited from a safety car and the VSCs, to be able to maintain that advantage. Whilst Lando Norris was able to pit under the safety car, Piastri didn't. And that was what separated the two of them at the end. Piastri letting Norris by, and Piastri holding on to the championship lead, albeit reduced over both teammate Norris and other rival Verstappen. Though it is cool to see this sort of new Hamver bot, or Hamver bot kind of thing, you know, where it was always Hamilton, Bottas and Verstappen on the podium. This Piano Ver, or whatever we're going to call it. Elsewhere was 4th place for car 44. Well done to Lewis Hamilton. It was a double points day for Ferrari, which seems weird to be praising, but given the luck they've had at the start of the season, it was a good performance by them in front of the Tifosi. They both got knocked out in Q2, remember, by Aston Martins on medium tyres. But yeah, they managed to climb their way through and both get into the points. Hamilton in 4th for 44, P6 for 16 Charles Leclerc. Between the two of them was Alex Albon. Albon has been in brilliant form this season and has genuinely shown that he has the measure of Carlos Sainz. Now, albeit this is Albon's 4th season with the team, so it's potentially not surprising that he has the measure of somebody who's just joined the team, especially when they've just joined the team from Ferrari. But yeah, double points day as well for Williams, with Sainz down in 8th. But it's looking good for them this season. They could full well be clear of 6th place come the end of it. I know Albon thinks they could be knocking on the door of 4th. And judging by this, they are going to be the 4th best team most weekends. It just depends on how good that other team that is toing and throwing between, say, 3rd and 5th or 2nd and 5th is going to be. In terms of the rest of the running order, in 9th place was the 2nd Red Bull entry, Isaac Hadjar, who was 3 seconds clear of the 2nd Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda. Red Bull getting a double points day on their 400th race in Formula 1. Just missing out with Fernando Alonso, who qualified really well. He still hasn't got any points this season so far. And Nico Hulkenberg, who looked like he was going to give Sauber. Wow, I jumped back to 2024 for a moment then. It was going to be especially weird because I was going to say, it's Sauber's 600th race. Was Haas anywhere near 600? I don't think they are. I think they're like not even at 200 yet. But yeah, Sauber's 600th race. Very nearly rewarded with points. Gasly was in 13th, having had to take a trip through the gravel very early on up at Piratella. Ahead of Lawson, Stroll, Colapinto, Behrman and Bortoletto. With Antonelli and Ocon, the two retirements in the race, both pulling up out of Tosa. with Ocon triggering a VSC and Antonelli a full safety car. Part of me felt, the Cars 2 thing, when both the cars were out at the same corner, stopping in the same way. It was strange. But let's talk about the standings quick, because I have mentioned them a little bit. Piastri still leads, 13 points to the good over Lando Norris. Verstappen is a further 9 points back, so it's 22 points between first and third place. He's 47 points clear of George Russell in fourth, with Charles Leclerc 36 points behind Russell, and then Lewis Hamilton is just behind Leclerc, 8 points back, but now 5 points clear of Kimi Antonelli, thanks to the retirement for the Italian today. Albon is in 8th place on 40 points, Ocon 9th on 14, and Lance Stroll is still in 10th place in the drivers' standings on 14 points. I can't remember, was it Bahrain I pointed out that Stroll was still in 10th? And I was like, how is Stroll in 10th place when his teammate hasn't scored points yet? And this is the question, how is Stroll still in 10th place? We've had so many wild points finishes for so many different drivers, and yet he still managed to be in 10th place, and his teammate still hasn't gotten any points. Then in the manufacturer standings, it's not really surprising to see the name McLaren Mercedes, especially if you've been an F1 fan for as long as I have, at the top of the standings on 279 points. What might be surprising is seeing that Mercedes are in second place, and they only just have more than half what McLaren do. 147 to McLaren's 279. Max Verstappen and Red Bull are in third place. I say that. Tsunoda has scored points this season, but it is still to the extent of nearly 90%, right? Verstappen's points haul. He and Red Bull are 16 points behind Mercedes, with Ferrari 17 points behind Red Bull. Williams are in 5th, and I mentioned that they were closing in. They are, 63 points now behind Ferrari, but 31 points to the good over Haas in 6th. Aston Martin have those 14 points. It's so funny as well, though, isn't it, that Stroll and Aston Martin have scored 14 points, and yet car 14, Fernando Alonso, hasn't scored any yet so far this season. With Racing Bulls in 8th on 10, Alpine in 9th on 7, and Sauber in 10th with 6 points to their name. But it's still cool to see so many points even down at the bottom end of the field, because, I mean, last year, Sauber only scored points once all season. And it was right towards the end. It was Qatar, Zhou Guanyu picked up a point. But let's quickly reflect on Imola, because, like I said, potentially the last race for now. I love the track. Now, is it the perfect venue for the kind of glitz and glam that F1 wants, with the high-end facilities and the massive complexes that you can have 4 or 5 paddocks in? It's not that. It can't be that, unless you want to, take away some of the magic of Imola. Like the cats, or the houses that back onto the Ravazza corners, or the river, the literal river that runs right next to Tamburello. If you wanted to take away the things that make Imola Imola, then sure, you could build that massive complex that can take all of these different facilities. But I think there's something magical about what Imola is. And I feel that Imola should be treated with the same level of respect and dignity in Auto F1 as the Hungaroring. Both are relatively similar facilities in terms of characteristics. In fact, in some places the curbing is very similar. Some of the corner profiles are very similar. Both produce similar quality racing. Both have a single DRS zone, right? Or is it 2 now, Hungaroring, or even 3? I seem to remember it just being the one down the pit straight, but I could full well be wrong on that one. Please correct me if I am wrong. But there is so much history to Imola. just even the name Autodromo Enzo Dino Ferrari. And yet it can't grow or expand any further. It is constrained by the things that are around it, much like the Hungaroring. However, whilst the Hungaroring's future is still seemingly very much set for Formula 1, Imola's isn't. And I think that's a shame. I love the track. It's so much fun to drive in the sim, it's so much fun to watch, and it's great to watch with numerous different categories. Sure, the overtaking isn't the easiest in F1, but why blame the track when the cars are what produce that issue? At least, that's my opinion. Anyways, those are my thoughts, those are my feelings. Let me know yours in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching and joining us always, folks. Thank you so, so much. And until next time, it's bye-bye for now.